Good afternoon and thank you for joining us today for this webinar. Today's topic of discussion, Leo, one of the newest AI assistants in SOLIDWORKS. But first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ayden Duncan, and I'm a solutions specialist here at Solidxperts. I've been one for over 2.5 years. However, I've been using SOLIDWORKS for over 10 years at this point, and I've seen so many great additions to the software. The additions of AI assistants in 2026, which include Leo, are no different. I'm so excited to show you the new features that are now available in Leo, so that way you can make use of this tool to become even more efficient than before. Before we begin, we're going to take a look at the roadmap of today. The first section, we're going to talk about what is Leo. In the second, we'll talk about how you can start using Leo. Throughout the third, we'll follow some case studies and usage in the real world of these tools. And lastly, we're going to take some live questions from the audience. So, first and foremost, what is Leo? Leo, named after the great engineer Leonardo da Vinci, is an engineering companion built directly within SOLIDWORKS. It's available to anyone who uses the 3D Experience platform with cloud-enabled SOLIDWORKS. Leo can take your basic prompts and create assembly structures, generate drawings, and remove design errors. Even more than that too. So you might ask yourself, these tools sound interesting, but why should I start using Leo? Well, first and foremost, you should start using Leo because it's available to you. So any SOLIDWORKS user whose license is on active subscription has Leo automatically included. Additionally, Leo is integrated directly to SOLIDWORKS via the task pane on the right-hand menu. So you don't even need to navigate outside of the software to start using it. Additionally, Leo can help reduce repetition in an engineer's life by automating tasks. For example, the automatic creation of drawings tools, which we'll talk about in this course. And then, Leo also helps increase communication about topics pertinent to the file information, so last modified, and who the last person was to touch your files without asking. So you might ask yourself, these tools sound great, but how do I start using them? Well, what do you need to start using Leo? Lucky for you, it's extraordinarily easy to start. All you need access to is a license of SOLIDWORKS 2026, or newer if you're joining us from the future, and your license should be on active subscription. If those are true, you're ready to begin. But in addition to these two prerequisites, you should also start saving your files to the 3D Experience so that you can take full advantage of all of the tools that Leo has to offer. If you don't, you'll still be able to use some, but again, to take full advantage, using the 3D Experience 3D drive is a good place to start too. Okay, so where is Leo? We're ready to start using it, but where do I find it within SOLIDWORKS? So as mentioned before, Leo is found in that right-hand task pane menu. This is the same menu that holds things like the Windows File Explorer from directly within SOLIDWORKS, the toolbox, even the appearance menu. So there's going to be a new tab there, which is called the AI Labs tab. And in order to see that, you want to make sure that you have the 3D Experience add-on downloaded, installed, and turned on. So you download that from 3D Experience Online. And then in the add-ons area, we check the box to make sure that the 3D Experience Connector tool is turned on. When it is, the AI Labs tab will show up, and it'll have all of the tools that we'll talk about today, as well as more, including another AI assistant called Aura. So we've talked about how to get started with Leo. So now let's look at some of the real-world uses throughout our case studies. Our first case study follows the use of imported data. One of the most common problems that many engineers and drafters face is the challenges of working with dumb solids. Whether you've imported a body from McMaster or it's a step file shared from somebody who's working in a different software because they don't know how great SOLIDWORKS is, you not having access to that file's history tree can really make editing a challenge. However, Leo can take some of that challenge away, especially in cases where that file is a single body. We're going to open up the software for this demo here, And we'll see that for neutral file types like STEP and IGES, Leo is able to create parametric SOLIDWORKS data based on the geometry. We can launch this tool from the Convert to Geometry in the Insert menu. And you'll see that when we do so, it's going to prompt us to save it to the 3D experience. That's right, the data needs to be saved to the 3D experience for this to work. We will then select Generate Preview, in which you'll see all of the features are filled up in the Feature Manager tree on the left-hand pane. And you can edit each of these and all of the associated dimensions, just as you would any other geometry within SOLIDWORKS. So it basically turns a imported body into a native SOLIDWORKS file. This tool can also be launched from the AI Labs menu. However, in this case, we did insert because we didn't need to change anything through prompts. Our second case study is going to use the Material Appearance Application tool. So when you're finalizing an appearance of a part or an assembly, there's a lot of trial and error from time to time to find what looks best. You need to determine if you need a regular stainless steel appearance, a polished stainless steel appearance, or even a high gloss plastic. So with Leo's Material Application tool, we can help reduce this tedious workflow because the user just needs to prompt the desired appearance and what bodies to target, and those changes will be made directly from the prompt. We can also add more prompts within the same conversation to make any changes, reverts, or whatever else might be necessary. So, we're going to open the software again here, and we'll take a look at this example of the tool. Myself as the user in this case is going to write a prompt which includes the desired appearance and the corresponding parts. So I want to apply a green plastic appearance to the base subassembly of this model. Leo is going to find all of the parts in the assembly, determine which ones belong to the base subassembly, and then apply a high gloss green plastic appearance to them. I'm now going to prompt to add a red plastic appearance to any part that is not in the base subassembly. And effectively, Leo's going to do the same thing but the opposite, where it's going to find all of the parts, figure out which ones are not in the base subassembly, and apply a red plastic to those. Lastly, I'm going to target a specific part, the head part, which I want to apply a black plastic appearance to. Leo's going to find that one part, apply that black plastic appearance, and you should see that take effect right now. Okay? I decide I don't like the way the black plastic looks, so I'm going to run a revert. Leo's going to go back to the last save point that we know about, which was the last prompt that you made, so we'll go back to having a red head. Overall, Leo takes a lot of the navigation out of applying material appearances. Before, we'd have to go through all of the appearance folders, find each of the appearances, the right colors, the right texture, and drag and drop that onto the parts that we want associated. Now, we can just prompt through Leo and make quick changes, which really takes the time out of applying materials. During our third case study here, we're going to talk about drawing creation with Leo. So this next feature might be my favorite, which is Leo's automatic drawing creation tool, because the act of creating drawings for every part and assembly I make is my least favorite tedious task that I have to do as an engineer. For most companies, they have a couple templates, maybe 2 or 3, that drive about 90% of their drawings. But every time I have to start a new drawing, I have to pick my sheet size, I need to choose what template I want to use, I need to drag in my first, I need to do my projected views, I need to add my tables. There's a whole lot of work there. But however, with a few short prompts with Leo, all of that work can be automated away. Users just have to choose the template and settings desired, choose the location for save, and let Leo do the rest of the work in the background. So let's see how quickly Leo can make a drawing. Weird thing with the slide. Okay. So we're going to launch the auto creation of drawing tool here within Leo, and I'm going to ask Leo to please create a drawing for this part. Leo's going to find the part and start pulling up my default standards from the last time I made a drawing, because Leo remembers the things I've done in the past. So Leo's then going to prompt me with all of the standards that I had used before, including the views, the dimensions I want to import, if I need any section views, any tables, and so on. I'm going to choose to see a preview, but I could also choose to change these settings if necessary. Within our preview, It's going to confirm all of these as well as the model save path and ask if I need to make any changes to settings. I will say proceed. So that was our third command total. Okay. And now Leo's going to give me one last chance to change our save path if we need it. I'm going to choose to save it there by saying yes to save it there. And then it's going to ask me if I want to open the file that it's been created. So that was my fifth prompt, and I already have a drawing open. With 5 prompts normally, I'd maybe have started a new file and put in my first drawing. So this has automated a lot of steps in between. And it could automate even more, because the more and more I use it, the more Leo knows what I'm looking for. If I wanted to add additional annotations, additional tables, that can all be done. We're going to move on to our second to last tool now, though, which is the PLM data retrieval tool. While tools in Aura, the other AI assistant in SOLIDWORKS for now, excel at searching company documents for standards, Leo is giving the user information about the history of a particular document and other metadata. This can help determine your maturity status of the document or even who the last person to modify it was. So I'm going to open up the software and I'm going to give Leo a quick prompt to give me insights on the top level main assembly and state the maturity status of each part inside. The answers are going to fly by pretty quickly, but it's going to give us the revision status, when it was last modified, when it was created, who it was created by, the maturity status of each of the major parts in the assembly, as well as the overall revision history. I can then ask when a particular part was last modified, and it'll give me the modification date. I could also ask who created this assembly and what its maturity state is, in which it'll prompt me the user of creation, when it was created, also the current revision and maturity status, along with the history. So a whole lot of information can be gathered just with a few quick prompts about this model, preventing me from having to go into the database to try to find this, go through the metadata of the files or anything else. And we all know I don't want to go ask my coworker if he was the last one to touch it. So now I can find out really quickly. We're going to jump into our last case study here, which is the assembly performance optimization tool. So using this tool, Leo is able to help users gain insights about your assembly structure, as well as the performance that it's experiencing. This is especially helpful when your rebuild times start to be measured not in seconds, but in minutes, and time just keeps dragging on. Using Leo to pinpoint all of these pain points can help the user suppress or remove unnecessary data so that you can live to see another rebuild of your assembly. We're going to look at a demo one last time, in which we'll see that with just a quick prompt, we can evaluate the assembly performance, and it's going to yield a large amount of data. So evaluate my assembly for performance. That is the prompt. And you're going to see so much information fly by that we can't read it all. The summary of this prompt, though, is that we have a large quantity of fasteners that are all high detail, which is what's really killing our rebuild time. So I'm going to ask Leo what happens if I suppress these fasteners, and we'll find out that by suppressing these fasteners, which contain over 4.5 million triangles, a huge tax on your RAM, we would also reduce the rebuild time by over 10 seconds, which is about a 30 to 50% improvement. So Leo was able to help us identify the problem element. We were able to ask Leo what would happen if we removed that problem element for now, and we found the results all within 2 prompts. Fantastic work. So, as a summary, Leo, it's a fantastic tool which includes many new functionalities, like the automatic drawing creation, my favorite, but it also improves on some new functionalities that may have existed in other states before. For instance, the parametric data is similar to the import diagnostics, it's just a more powerful tool now. All of these tools help decrease the number of times that your engineers will run into common choke points so that overall productivity can be raised. And these tools, they're available to all users as long as your subscription is active. So I implore you to start using them today and see what the improvements can do for you. I want to take this time now to thank you for joining me today. At Solidxperts, we love teaching you about all things new in SOLIDWORKS, as well as all things old. So thank you for joining us today, learning about this new topic of Leo. I want to take a few minutes here to allow our team to answer any questions you may have outstanding. And don't worry, if we don't have enough time to answer your questions during this session, just drop a thumbs up in the chat. Our team will follow up with you so that we can make sure that your questions are answered. My contact information is listed on the screen now. Again, my name is Ayden Duncan, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have remaining. The best way to reach me is via email for the promptest response. And don't forget to stay up to date all things SOLIDWORKS, 3D Experience, AI, and Dassault systems by subscribing to our newsletter and following us on these socials. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful afternoon.